So, I say hello and good morning. Monday, November 18th. This year went so fast. You just asked me about how many games there were. 9 game slate. I almost said 8. You got in my head there. 8 game slate for the NBA.
That was the intention.
Well, it worked out perfectly. 9 game slate for the NBA coming off of a lackluster Sunday for me personally. I am joined by Dave Locker. And Dave, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Not much. We got, by the way, it's crazy to think that we are already through 11 weeks of the NFL season.
6 more and I could stop paying attention to it.
It flies. Man, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's phenomenal. The problem is here's what I hate the most. When you have a bad week, like, of course, now you have basketball, so that's great. You can kind of get that, the amnesia, have that short memory. But sometimes you have that if you have a really bad week, and I didn't. Last week was a bad week for me. You can't really rebound or try to rebound until 7 days later. And then if that week goes poorly, it's just, compounding the problem. So NFL is one of those sports. It's cruel when you're in a bad spot. No question.
It very much is. Basketball was not much better. We'll take a look at last night's results right now. I've got lineup study pulled up. That is a part of FC Pro. So if you're interested, that is a paid add-on for the site. You can get some more information at awesomeo.com. Winner of the excellent 8s last night. That was $50K to first on DraftKings. Played 5 lineups. Friend of the program, Brick75, came in second. Highest exposed guy yesterday, Drew Holiday. 56% owned. Adam had him in 60% of his lineups. Alex had him in 85.
Whew.
But yeah, he was 56.2. The 150 maxers in this contest had him at 63.9. Here's the most interesting piece of it all. Anthony Davis ended up 49.6% owned in this contest. The people that played 150 lineups, 77.
It's crazy.
And he
sucked. I think LeBron was 56%?
LeBron was 54.9, and the 150 maxers had him in 47. So the 150 maxers didn't get the Lakers right.
Davis is disappointed greatly. What about the exposure towards Vooch? That was a smash spot for him. I don't think anyone would have projected him to go 60 plus, but really favorable spot. How much did people come in on him?
So Vooch was the 3rd most owned guy overall, just under 51%.
3rd overall. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
He was 4th overall to the 150 maxers at 56%.
And last one, I'll ask you, what about Beal?
That's a good one. Beal was 20% owned overall and 8% by the 150 maxers.
Okay.
So that was more.
How do you pull up for the 150s what their exposure is?
That's a great question, and I will show that on screen as well. So very easy.
I literally don't know the answer, so I'm learning with everyone else that also doesn't know the answer.
Perfect. So when you open the contest, if you head to the all lineup section, that shows literally every single entry for everyone. There's the 3rd column in is the number of entries. So you can click the little filter button, and you can just set that to equals 150. So the only lineups that will show up will be of guys that entered 150. Now you could probably also add in like the people that played 145 or more, just so sometimes you just screw up and like don't type 150 in that line or something.
But upon doing that, it'll change the exposure too.
Sort of. So there's a section out to the right-hand side that is always collapsed that shows you player usage, stack usage, and stack combos. But the player usage will be filtered to whatever you have in this data set. So now the only exposures that we're getting are the exposures of everyone that ran 150.
Got it. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's important to know. Look, there's a lot of people that play 150 that aren't really that sharp, but generally speaking, the sharpest guys you're going to get, if you were to take everybody and give me the top 10 best players, they're almost always all in these contests going to max them out.
Right. If you're bad, the chances of you continuing to funnel 150 entries at $8 or more into this contest over and over again, that's not happening all that often. Or you're broke. Or you're just rich. And this is just
exactly.
It's a very fine line. What you're getting here is the cross section of the biggest NBA players in the industry.
Correct.
And for last night, given the exposures and given the way that it shook out, might not have worked out all that well. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was 39% owned overall. He was 50% owned to the 150 maxers. That seemed to work out. Winning lineup for last night: Jamal Murray, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Jamal Murray, by the way, going ham. 67.
He does that once every couple months, and I never really have him because it's Jamal Murray.
Right. He's another one of those guys, very much in like the Klay Thompson vein, where you pretty much need to have them around 10% every day, as long as there's not weird stuff going on with pricing or the slate, because every once in a while, they just shoot themselves into a ridiculous game. The opportunities are always there, just really hard to pick.
Yep.
Murray, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Eton Moore, Eric Paschall, Vooch, Drew Holiday, LeBron James, Jackson Hayes. Nothing looking crazy there. I mean, there's no heavy chalk. I mean, he got there with LeBron, putting up the 68 at 55% ownership. It's amazing that there was such a gap in the 150 ownership between LeBron and AD, but AD didn't get you there, that's for sure.
No, and can we also point out that was without Nicolo Melli?
I'm also wrong. That was Brick's lineup. I still had it sorted for 150.
Okay, I was going to say that had no Bowman, right?
Yeah, Bowman is in the winning lineup.
It is. And what about Melli? Because
also in the winning lineup.
All right, but it's amazing that Brick didn't have either of those guys.
Not in that lineup.
And came in second place with that lineup.
Right.
That's pretty incredible. If you were to tell me that two 3K players, one was, they're both dead men on DraftKings, combined for 60 fantasy points, and you had neither of them in a winning lineup or a top lineup, I think you were crazy.
Not only that, I mean, this changes your point a little bit, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker was 3,100. That's three guys at either the minimum or $100 over the minimum in that.
What did he finish with?
35.25.
Right. Okay. So there's that. Yeah. But to not have, so he had Alexander-Walker.
Yes.
But you would think that he would have had two of those.
Right.
Guys.
So the winner didn't have Jackson Hayes, and that was where Brick made it up at 3,300.
Got it.
Interesting night, though. We see a couple other big names up in the top section here, but this was more of a casuals day, given the way that it played out. Highest exposed player for Adam yesterday, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 149 of 150 lineups. Alex is high. Anthony Davis, probably not going to get it done.
Probably not, no.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Play again today.
You know where you should play?
Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Just winging it.
Absolutely. The presenting sponsor of this show. I am going to drop in the link to Emacs Cash Building Blocks article. You can find some information on how to sign up at Yahoo at the bottom of the article. They run their baller contest. That is the name of their biggest that they run across all sports. So they run the baller in the NBA. They run the baller in the NFL. They've got CSV imports and edits now. A lot of their entries are 10 max, but you can get into the 150 max. You're going to have a better payout structure, no management fee contest from time to time. But if you use that link, the bottom of Emacs article, you can get $30 in YSRMs or YSRPs, depending on the day. Those Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Whatever you need to do, you can get them. So shout out to Yahoo. I love having them as a sponsor. I love playing at Yahoo. Having the CSV edit has really improved my life. So check out what Emacs got to say. This is yesterday's article that I dropped in, but he puts out a new Cash Building Blocks article every single day, sometime in the morning. Go check that out and sign up and play at Yahoo.
Do you see their new catchphrase? The "Will you become the baller?"
No, but that's not bad.
Really? I just made it up.
Oh, really? Well, then congratulations. You did a good job.
I was actually trying to make it sound like something terrible, but I guess you're buying in.
I'm in. I'm totally in.
All right. You need to use that voice, though. You know, the whole...
Will you become the baller?
That's right. Sign up now.
Chat, now that we're starting to get everybody in here, Who was your best play from yesterday? Who saved you? Who was the guy that you were a little bit on the fence on, and all of a sudden you put him in your lineup, and that was the thing that put you into the green? Let me know who that was in the chat section. Get started momentarily because, well, 9 games. We've got an hour and 15 minutes. Some of these games are not very good. Murray, 1,000,000% from Anthony Marcus. Anthony Pascal, Murray. I'm not saying who was the best guy. You got to have him too.
Yeah.
Understand that Murray played fantastic, but he's not in your lineup. Fournier, there's one.
Yeah, it's a big game from Fournier.
Alvin lost his ass yesterday, so I guess nobody. Yeah, if it's an NFL player, that works too. Jeff Driscoll. Who else we got coming in? What else did I want to do? 9 games. Oh yeah, do we have ownership? Then we can get started. 15 hours ago. No ownership as of yet. Let's do it. We will get ownership momentarily, but I think we could start because, man, do we got a barn burner to kick this one off?
Sure do. Let's do it.
Yeah, New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm ready to just jump to the 7:30 games. What about you?
Knicks. Yeah, I'll tell you, no one has pissed me off more than Julius Randle lately. I mean, it's been crazy, and nothing makes me even more upset than, you read these player blurbs, and it's like Randle reached double-digit scoring figures for the 5th straight game. I don't care if this dude scores 17 points a game if he's finishing with 28 fantasy points. He played 26 minutes against Charlotte, man. Just a horrendous outing. And like, you would think with how involved he is in this offense that he'd be better, but he just hasn't been. It's been rough.
Wow, I think this game is not included on the fantasy draft slate.
Because it's only one 7 p.m. game. That seems odd.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, so fantasy draft only has 8 games, so we will be ignoring them right now. Yeah, I mean, what is there to like here? Mitchell Robinson, if he plays?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Mitchell Robinson guy, but on a 9-game slate, how much Mitchell Robinson can you really get? Kevin Love, keep this in mind, by the way, playing his second of a back-to-back. They just got the shit kicked out of him by the Sixers. Another team that absolutely disgusts me. And by the way, Brett Brown, get out of here. Anyone that's still sorry, Josh, I got to do it. Anyone that's still supporting Brett Brown at this point is out of their minds. You have these people that are Brett Brown backers till the day they die. I think he's a good person. He seems like a legitimately nice person, but he has taken a phenomenal roster and lost 5 of 13 games already. They're 8-5. They have not played. I could go on forever, but I am not buying into this. And you know what? Maybe this is like, maybe I'm the guy that calls into the radio that you and I laugh at. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they call into you on Sirius.
Right. Like, oh, solid analysis. But I don't think I've ever seen Brett Brown actually get in one of his players' faces or push them. And you know what? The part that bothers me the most? Let me ask your opinion on this.
Okay.
If you're Brett Brown and you've now had Ben Simmons for however many years, they've known each other for a long time, and you just tell him it's okay if you don't want to shoot, like, how is it that you're not saying you have to learn how to shoot and you have to shoot during the game? I don't care if you miss. It's crazy.
Maybe they are saying that.
Well, they can't be. Bench his ass if he's not gonna.
You think that Brett Brown has more power than the player? That's interesting.
I think that if you're as talented as Ben Simmons is, you would agree, talented player, right?
Yes, very talented. It's the only reason he's in the league, because he's so talented, because he can't shoot worth shit. Allegedly.
Exactly. Right. Throwing hype videos out in the summer and everything, all this good stuff, and then he still can't take a shot. And I don't care if he's going to miss, just start shooting. Listen, how much can it hurt you when Tobias Harris misses 78 straight 3-pointers?
Dude, Russell Westbrook has had no problem shooting threes, shooting He's shooting 22% on 5 attempts this season. He shot 29% last year and 29.8% the year before that.
Yeah, I know.
How much worse could it be?
But that's not the reason they lose games, right? No. You're not losing games because Westbrook misses some threes every night.
Right. Yes. He should shoot less threes.
They are
incrementally losing more games because he shoots those threes, but that is not the reason that
it's not the reason. Here's all I'm saying, man. If you're the coach or I don't care, anyone in this organization, and you basically have just said, hey, you don't want to shoot, you don't have to shoot. You're never going to actually develop into a star player, which, would you agree? There's no way until he ever learns to shoot that he can actually become a true star.
What's your definition of star?
A top 15 player, top 10 player, top 10 player. Because he has the athleticism and the raw talent to become a top 10 player easy.
It will make that job very, very, very difficult.
Okay, we can agree on that.
I just think that he has the potential to be so good defensively that he can make up for it.
Yeah, but nothing. But anyway, I'm sorry.
He needs it.
It drives me nuts. I won't take up any more time on that, but it's crazy to me that, you're losing games to subpar teams, and, Harris is shooting 5% from 3-point range, but you refuse to take shots and really just put the team in bad situations. The half court offense completely stalls out when you're off the ball. So I don't know. It's frustrating, Josh, especially after Nelson Aguilar dropped another touchdown. Hey, oh God.
Glad he's not out catching babies.
Yeah, no, it just kill me. Anyway, the reason I brought up Kevin Love in the first place is because if you remember,
we brought up Kevin Love at any point in time during this show.
Dude, this is how I started the rant with Kevin Love.
I thought I had to reintroduce the Knicks Cavs game again.
Dude, do you want to hear
the
this?
Eagles and the Sixers at some point in time during all of this. Yeah, circle this back to Kevin Love. I'd love to hear this.
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to hear the logic on how I got here?
I would love to.
Kevin Love played the Sixers last night. The Sixers won, but I got mad because they blew him out, but it's a bad Cavs team. And Kevin Love, so he played yesterday. He got injured in that game and did return right away.
Yeah.
Right? He returned right away. But it certainly looked like one of those spots where the next day, I'm no doctor, where something flares up and you end up being out. He said he was going to play, but it actually looked kind of ugly. So I would just keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Point being, if he doesn't play, which I think is a possibility, and Larry Nance is also questionable in this one, that might actually open some stuff up in this game.
Mike Campbell in YouTube chat said, damn, I thought this was a rant on Randall.
I did go from one to the other, huh? Mike Campbell's my guy. I like that guy. I'm not going to rant on Mike.
It would have took me 40 players before I was just like, oh, this is a Kevin Love conversation. Look, I don't really see anyone that I'm dying to get to on either side of this game. I think RJ Barrett for 5,600 on DraftKings is appealing. I think that Chetty for 4,300 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DraftKings. You have to pay attention to him a little bit given the health of Nance and potentially Kevin Love. But really, what are you going crazy for? What are you trying to put into your lineup here? It's nothing, right? It's the lowest total game on the slate.
It's not. And honestly, the Cavs, I mentioned this when they played the Sixers the first time. The Cavs have actually done a couple things well, and I think that hurts somebody. I think that hurts somebody like Julius Randle, who gets the large majority of his points in the paint, even though he's not scoring much anyway because he stinks. But they have not allowed really anything on post-ups this season, which is where you're going to see Julius Randle produce a lot of his scoring. And they've done a very good job of not fouling teams. So they do a few things well enough to where they're not going to fall in love with these Knicks either.
No. I have to assume that Tristan Thompson is kind of the worst matchup for Julius Randle.
You would think so, yeah.
Of like guys in the NBA that are playing center nowadays. Like Tristan Thompson is like one of the sturdier dudes.
He is, and that's the thing. Julius Randle just lives by like backing you down and out physicaling you to the basket.
Right. So yeah, I can't imagine I have much of this game unless we start losing people left and right.
I did get some RJ Barrett, like you said, at that price. I think that's reasonable. Ntilikina is just such a dreadful shooter that you're going to have a very tough time getting there. He's cheap and his minutes have been huge. So if you wanted to make an argument, fine, but the dude's taking 4 shots per game. I just can't do it, Josh. Barrett, and you already mentioned him, would be the one guy I think that if I was getting to anyone, it would be him. But let's not forget either, his minutes have come back down to that 31, 32-minute range, opposed to the 39, 40 he was playing earlier in the year. That's a huge hit, but his price is down too. He's a tournament play and nothing more.
Okay. Anybody you want to touch on from the Cavs? They look gross on my spreadsheet.
No, I just think it's worthwhile to keep an eye on Love. I know he doesn't have an injury designation, but Nance is already questionable and he sat out yesterday. Yeah. If you get some news there, then maybe something pops up, but that's really it. I'm just, I'm definitely reaching.
Okay. We just got ownership. So, well, I guess we have at least a couple things to touch on. RJ Barrett is at 26% ownership on DK. That's the highest number of anybody on either side, which I think made some sense. We touched on that. Mitchell Robinson is just under 20% across FanDuel and DK. Frankie Smokes is in the 12 to 14 range. Kevin Love in the 12 to 14 range. Tristan Thompson, 5,600 on DK at 20% ownership. Anything sound crazy to you?
No, not at all. Thompson's, if you compare him to the rest of the slate, Thompson being like top 12 is strange, but yeah.
Yeah, not sure I get that, but whatever. This is not a game. I would be very surprised if I had more ownership than any of these guys in double digits. Like that's just not happening.
I'm with you.
All right. Go to some real games. Another one that's super up in the air, so I'm not sure how much we're going to have to strategize here. Brooklyn Nets, Indiana Pacers. Nets 5.5 point favorites. 4.5 point favorite? 4.5 point favorites. Kyrie questionable. Jeremy Lamb questionable.
Sabonis
questionable. Malcolm Brogdon out. I think I'm missing one more person too.
No, wait. You have Brogdon out?
Brogdon is out.
He is?
Out.
Okay.
Updating a previous report, Malcolm Brogdon is being listed as out from Monday's game against the Nets.
Oh, when did that break?
During the injury report last night.
Huh. Gotcha.
Yeah, he is listed as out for this game. Sabonis questionable, TJ McConnell questionable, Jeremy Lamb questionable, Kyrie Irving questionable, Garrett Temple available. So
I mean, there's a ton of injuries.
Yeah. So let's start on the Brooklyn side. If Kyrie is in, I'm happy to play him at 9,500 or 8,500 or 15,700 on fantasy draft. I don't have much of an issue there. Jared Allen projected for 29% ownership on FanDuel is the biggest number for the Nets. He is 5,400 and a power forward. I get it. There's not a lot of value out right now.
Yeah, okay. So looking at this one with the amount of injuries we have, just to recap again, Brogdon out, Sabonis, Lamb, Irving, all questionable to play. Let me start with this one for you. When it comes to TJ McConnell being questionable in this one.
Yeah.
So TJ McConnell has actually played really well off the bench.
Yeah.
If TJ McConnell is also sidelined, I mean, you have to think that Aaron Holiday plays like 36 minutes or more.
Aaron Holiday is already projected for 65% ownership on FanDuel. He is 4,100. I have TJ McConnell in. It makes no difference. Aaron Holiday is the only value play on FanDuel that exists today so far.
Okay. Yeah.
And then on DraftKings at 5,500, he becomes much better if they start losing more guards.
Right. And exactly. That's a good point. On FanDuel, it makes no difference whatsoever.
Nope.
If McConnell also sits, then yeah, I think Holiday could have some value, but I still wouldn't have a ton of interest in him at 5,500. I'd be willing to consider it, but not a ton of love there. You talked about Kyrie Irving. Sorry, I don't mean to bounce around, but
no, bounce. I mean, at least we're in the same game. This isn't.
Yeah. Don't worry. I won't go to the
Sixers or anything.
I won't go to the Sixers.
How does this circle back to Kevin Love? Is all I want to know.
Yeah. Irving's shooting the past couple games is down. He's shooting like 34 or 36% from the field, which is a little bit alarming, just given that we know, and 3 for 17 from 3-point range. The only thing is he has that shoulder injury. Is it affecting it? I have no idea. Could it be? Very possible. We've seen guys like Paul George and many other players play through shoulder injuries. And Josh, we've seen their shooting just turn to garbage as a result. Is that the case? I don't know. He's still shooting a ton too, so maybe it's nothing. But at 8,500, to me, there's no question that is a very friendly price tag on Kyrie Irving. I have him as a pretty solid point per dollar value at that price point. Zero problem getting there. And then to stay on the Brooklyn side, if Kyrie Irving is out, obviously Spencer Dinwiddie becomes a top option, or at least a solid option, even at 6K. On FanDuel, he's weighing in at 5,800. That makes him even more appealing at shooting guard position. Of course, Karis LeVert is out for a while, so you've got maybe a wing player or two here that might look decent to you. Taurean Prince has had a couple solid games, but for the most part, it's this backcourt that I'd have the most interest in.
I agree. Yeah, if Irving's out, obviously fire up all the Spencer Dinwiddie you want. His ownership will climb tremendously. I'm happy to get to a little bit of Kyrie. I prefer Dame on DraftKings. $100 difference in price. Dame with the Rockets matchup, he's just going to be shooting quite a bit. So don't really have much interest in anything else from Brooklyn. 29% ownership on Jared Allen just feels too high right now. I think that will just completely evaporate if and when we get any new news. But I am not all that interested in $5,400 Jared Allen here unless I'm missing something.
No, I don't think you are. I don't have an issue with him, but it sucks to know that DeAndre Jordan can just steal those minutes. Like, for example, you look at the last game against the Bulls, right? Jared Allen starts the game, plays 8 minutes. Then DeAndre Jordan comes in. He gets a 4, 5, so a 6-minute stint. Jared Allen returns more than 3 minutes. It was for 10 minutes. Then Jared Allen returns for 6 minutes, closes out the fourth. Then to start the third, another 8-minute stint. And then DeAndre Jordan comes in. This is strange. DeAndre Jordan comes in, plays the entire rest of the game, 16 straight minutes to close out the game. Jared Allen never returned. And with a center like him, you run that risk every single night of DeAndre Jordan getting hot and Jared Allen being off the floor. Now, it's masked because he had a 30 fantasy point game and he's played well. He's been exactly a fantasy point per minute guy or DraftKings point per minute guy this season. But I do hate knowing that he could play 18 minutes. I know he's been in some foul trouble, but we saw no foul trouble in 22 minutes. If he was getting even 28 minutes, if I could at least guarantee get 20, I'll say 26 or more, I would love Jared Allen. Yeah. But at that much ownership, I think in tournaments it makes sense to fade him because there's a very realistic, there's a clear path to him disappointing because of DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate DeAndre Jordan so much in fantasy. Been great, 1.24 fantasy points per minute, but he's priced accordingly, so you got to avoid him there. So there's not a ton of value on Brooklyn unless we get news about Irving being out. Indiana side is way wilder. We already touched on Aaron Holiday, monster ownership on FanDuel, and the relationship between Jeremy Lamb and being in or not. So I have Lamb in right now. He's 6,300 on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. I think that's reasonable. But ignoring Aaron Holiday's price on FanDuel, Miles Turner, 6,900 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DraftKings, 11.8 on Fantasy Draft, and $27 on Yahoo. 6,900 on FanDuel is without question my favorite FanDuel center, but even 6,100 on DK works for me. I love Miles Turner in this spot.
Now, if you love him in this spot, if Sabonis ends up being out, you're going to love him a lot more than that, right? Or do you already like him enough to where it wouldn't make a difference?
I have Sabonis in. Yeah, it won't matter.
You have Sabonis.
I mean, I will like him more for sure. That just means like he's even steadier.
Yeah,
but,
I think it makes a pretty significant difference because Sabonis as a rebounder has been ridiculous. These are his rebounding totals over his last 7. 17, 17, 14, 16, 16, 13, and 14. Those are Domantas Sabonis rebounding totals per game. Crazy. So take him off the floor and replace him with like, I don't know, Jakar Sampson or whoever they want to throw at the 4 there. That becomes a spot where Miles Turner, who is, I think we all know this, as a center, he is a very limited rebounder. He has never been an elite rebounder. That would really open things up even more. So I agree. I like him a lot in this spot. I would love him if Sabonis is out.
Yep. Yeah. It certainly doesn't put me off of him. That's for sure. If Sabonis is in, I don't mind that at all at 7,300 on DK. But 13,300 on fantasy draft, I think, is probably a slightly better price for him.
Yeah. It's just the thing about Turner is he has a career 6.5% block rate. Like that's clearly where he manufactures most of his peripheral production, but he's a career 20% usage guy, 13% rebounds, 6% assists. He really isn't highly skilled in any category outside of shot blocking from a fantasy standpoint. So, there's always that risk that he kind of just disappears.
Do you want to touch on anything else for Indiana? Nobody else really getting any ownership.
No, I think that's it. TJ Warren's too dependent on scoring to pay at that price, or to play at that price. So I think I'm good.
TJ Warren, less FanDuel points per minute than Aaron Holiday this season.
That's not good.
No. 112.25 implied total for the Raptors. 103.25 for the Hornets. 9-point underdogs against the Raptors, missing half of.
It actually seems conservative. Actually,
yes, they're so bad.
I know 9 points does not seem like that much.
No, 9,300 for Siakam on FanDuel. Van Vliet is 7,800. They are 9K and 7,400 respectively on DraftKings. Siakam 41% expected ownership on FanDuel, 25 on DK. Van Vliet right around 10% across both sites. I want to have a ton of both of them. I'm going to load up on Van Vliet at 7,800, at least on FanDuel. And for Pascal Siakam at 9,300, he's my favorite small forward of the day. I like him slightly better than Giannis because he's $3,000 less expensive. We're also getting Marc Gasol at 20% ownership. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson is at 29 on FanDuel. OG Anunoby double digits on both sites. Talk to me about the Raptors and what you like.
You said Siakam's your number one power forward on the day?
So Siakam is a small forward on FanDuel.
Oh, right. Yeah, which is just silly.
Yeah. But so, yes, he is my number one small forward, just a hair above Giannis as of right now.
And on DraftKings, where he's power forward center eligible?
I've got him
$9,000.
He's very much in play. Like, I would have a bunch of him. I would be very surprised if I were under the field. I have him behind Dame and slightly behind Luka in that price tier, but ahead of Kawhi, ahead of Kyrie. I'd rather have him than Giannis or Harden on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's really tough not to like him.
Yeah.
And something I've been talking about basically since the season started is players that can do a lot of damage in the paint are going to absolutely destroy this Charlotte team. They've been crushed in the paint. No team has allowed more points in the paint than the Charlotte Hornets this season. Now, as far as Siakam goes, this may surprise you. He ranks 4th in the entire league in points in the paint this year, Josh.
He gets to the rim, man.
Yeah. I just think a lot of people assume he's more of a shooter. He can shoot. But here's who's averaging more points in the paints than Siakam. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Andre Drummond, and Montrezl Harrell. That's it. So that's really good company. And the Hornets in the paint, 54.5 points per game allowed in the paint, just a dreadful number. So I think this is a very, very reasonable spot for Siakam. He's been excellent this season. He's developing into, a true superstar talent player. He doesn't have the same floor as a lot of these guys at his price. He has the ceiling, but I don't know if he has the floor. I think you're going to see some ugly games from him in the 30s, but against Charlotte, it's a very favorable spot. Yeah.
Yeah. He's soaking up too many minutes. I have him and Van Vliet both in for 38. That could very well turn out to be low. But Charlotte is just so bad. I don't really see what they're going to do to slow that down. So give me
Slow-paced team, though.
Give me Van Vliet. What else you like? Are you Marc Gasol? He's getting a little bit more ownership than I understand.
I was going to say that the Hornets play at like a bottom 8 pace, which kind of sucks. Yeah. But I think the efficiency they allow should make up for that, right? Bottom 10 defense as well. Yeah. So, it's not that big of a concern. Marc Gasol has just been brutal this year. I mean, absolutely brutal.
So bad.
And I feel like, I don't know about you, at least on DraftKings where he's 5,500, I feel like he should actually be cheaper than that.
I have no interest. I don't believe that he is in my player pool. No, he is right now. The only reason that he would not be in my player pool if not for his ownership.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
He's shooting 8 or 7 for 33 over his last 5 games.
0.71 FanDuel points per minute this season.
Sorry, 9 for 33. Yeah, but he's really been bad. He's made one field goal in 3 of his last 5. He doesn't have more than 3 field goals since the 6th of November. Actually, a matter of fact, I'm just looking at his last 10. He does not have a game with more than 4 made field goals over that span. I know it seems like very basic analysis. My point being is he's just not shooting. And when he is shooting, he's not shooting well. Dude, he's shooting 32% from the field this year. That's insane.
That's so bad, man. Aging before our eyes. But whatever. He's got a ring now, so I'm sure he doesn't care at all.
Yeah, dude. I'm a big Marc Gasol fan. I just have no interest here.
Yeah.
Are you willing to pay for any of these backcourt guys? Meaning Norman Powell's price is up now. Van Vliet's pretty pricey.
Norman Powell's 4,600 on FanDuel, so I'm still in there for at least a little bit. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson's 4,400 on FanDuel. He's basically the only power forward pay down option as of right now, so I'm there as well, at least for some value until we start to get more. But Siakam and Van Vliet are the main guys for me. And Anunoby for 4,600 on DraftKings looks okay.
Would you say Van Vliet is a top option today for you?
On FanDuel, yes. There's just so little out there. He's a shooting guard, so you've got Harden at 12.5, and then you drop all the way down to Devin Booker at 8,900. I'd rather have Van Vliet than Donovan Mitchell. I'd rather have him than Booker. I'd rather have him than Lou Will. He might be my favorite shooting guard, just given that price tag.
On DraftKings, you've got Van Vliet priced around Donovan Mitchell. Donovan's 500 more, but Donovan Mitchell's facing Minnesota too. Lou Williams against OKC, CJ McCollum, Eric Bledsoe, Rubio. Any of those guys you like over Van Vliet?
I don't think so.
I think I like Mitchell a little bit more, but outside of that, probably not.
On the Charlotte side, their rotation's a little different now. Dwayne Bacon out, Malik Monk in. Nick Batum is back and played a ton of minutes. Right now, as I see it, we've got Miles Bridges projected for 23% ownership on DraftKings at 4,300. I could take that or leave it. Batum getting a little love at 3,600 on FanDuel. I guess that's viable, but don't forget that he's Nick Batum. His minutes could be just about anything. Only two guys that I have any interest in would be Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier.
That's the same thing with me. I mean,
and they're not getting owned either.
What's that?
They're not really getting owned either.
No, and Devontae Graham essentially is developing into a really solid player, and I like what I've seen from him. Playing in the starting lineup doesn't appear to have curtailed his production at all either. He's still getting up a ton of shots. He's attempted 42 shots over his last 2 games. I think you might see his assist totals impacted a little bit alongside Rozier, but not a big concern to me. The only thing though is, as I kind of come full circle, I don't like this matchup very much. And with 9 games on the slate, I don't think this is a spot where you absolutely need to get to either of them. Just with a dummy crunch earlier today, I don't think I got to a whole lot of either of them. Let's see here. Devontae Graham. Now I can't get it to load, but I would imagine I don't have. I had 3% Devontae Graham.
Way too legit.
And 7% Rozier.
Way too legit says, what if I'm looking for value in this game and can't get to Graham, Rozier, Van Vliet, or Siakam? Then look somewhere else. Stop trying to find value in the worst team in the NBA and the Raptors.
Unless there's like a showdown slate. Yeah. If you're trying to find value here and it's not there, dude, go somewhere else. Because you think about it, even the value you get on this team generally, unless everyone's injured, for Toronto, most of the value guys are just scoring dependent, point, shoot first, do nothing else players, who now that mostly everyone's healthy. I guess, Ibaka's still out and Lowry, but there's still so much, there's still plenty of mouths to be fed. Like you said, just go somewhere else, man.
Right. So many other games and viable offenses. And there's not really a ton of value out there right now. Just go a different direction. I guess we don't have much up in the air for this particular game, but yeah, just go somewhere else. You'll be a lot happier. All right, let's keep it moving. Bulls and Bucks. 110.75 implied total for the Bulls. 118.25 for the Bucks. God, the Bulls stink. But big time pace up spot for Chicago. Tough defensive matchup, so it probably neutralizes there. The guy that stands out most to me is the guy that's getting the most ownership. 20% on both sites. 6,800 on FanDuel. 5,900 on DraftKings. I like Lauri Markkanen more than I like anything else for the Bulls. But I think that the Bulls are very much in play. Levine, Markkanen, Carter, Kobe White. I'm probably going to have bits of all 4 of those guys. They're all around 10% owned, and that's what I think it should be. But Markkanen's the guy that stands out.
Yeah, Markkanen stinks, man.
Now, but 5,900 on DraftKings right now.
I know.
Don't worry.
I know.
Adam will talk him up on the deeper dive in a couple hours.
I know. I had some fantastic lineups the other night. The one where Adam was talking him up. And of course, Lauri Markkanen not only sucked, but also got in foul trouble and, completely trashed several of them. So yeah, good job to you, bud. But his usage is, last year his usage was 25%. This year, 21%. His rebound rate is down from 15% to 12.8%. He blocks shots at a modest clip, but he just, like, the fact that he's attempted 10 or fewer shots in all but one of his last 8 games. That's concerning to me, that the volume just absolutely hasn't been there for Markkanen. Now he is cheap. I understand that, but I still don't know if I'm going to get all that much of him. I understand why people would. And in a dummy crunch, I got a little bit, but he's just, he's not, there's no volume here, which is strange because there aren't that many high volume players on this team. And of course you can make your argument that, not you, but Otto Porter's out. It's not that hard to replace, Otto Porter's 8 to 10 field goal attempts per game. Let's not pretend that all that's going to get funneled to Lauri Markkanen. And Zach LaVine's expected to play. So I don't know, man. I worry that you're once again going to get a game where he just stands around for much of it, and you're going to need rebounds and you're going to need him to be very accurate.
Not out of the realm of possibility. He hasn't been great. Wondering if the injury's hurting him a little bit more than it seems, but
yeah, could be.
Price is down far enough at this point where I think it's worth the risk.
Yeah, look, I think it's at that price, it's fine. I just don't know what the realistic upside is on this guy right now, unless he just begins shooting a lot.
One can only hope that happens today if I have a lot. Again, I'll have like 5 to 10% Levine, Carter, White, but there's not much else I want from the Bulls here. This is a tough defensive matchup against the Bucks.
Yeah, I'll tell you this though. I think I would rather play Wendell Carter Jr. at 6K on DraftKings than Markkanen at 5,900.
Ooh.
Yeah, probably not a popular take. given that Wendell Carter Jr. is someone that can get into serious foul trouble. But I just think his ability to give you stats outside of, well, I don't know if marketing's giving us anything. And it's not like Wendell Carter Jr. is taking that many less shots than him.
No, I get it. I get it. It's not crazy.
Is marketing projected for a lot of ownership?
21%.
And Wendell Carter's at 14. So not a big difference there.
On the Bucks side, we probably shouldn't have to tell you what to do with Giannis. I love him and Siakam. I'll be paying up for those guys more than anything, as long as some small forward value doesn't open up. On DraftKings, he's 11-3, $700 cheaper than Harden, $1,100 more expensive than Towns. I slightly prefer him to Towns. I have him as my highest projected player of the day. It's a tougher fit on DK now that we don't have as much value, but he's projected for roughly 30% ownership, and nobody else on Milwaukee is projected for anything in double digits. So mostly just Giannis for me. If I get a little bit of that's probably it. It's pretty much just Giannis.
Yeah, pretty much Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I do think it's worth at least for a minute talking about Bledsoe. He was one of my favorite plays 2 games ago against this same Chicago team, and we got solid numbers from him. So here's the reason I say this: Bledsoe with Middleton off the floor, and of course Brogdon off the floor, I think you're gonna see some good opportunities. Granted, I know he only took 14 shots last game, but he played 26 minutes. I'm assuming that was a blowout, Josh.
I have no idea.
No, I'll tell you right now. That was, it got pretty out of control there. He probably would have played like 30 something, but actually he definitely would have. Yeah. He came out right as they went up by around 20 points. So I think you probably get 32 minutes from Bledsoe here. Hopefully it's a close enough game. 32 minutes from him. On a per minute basis, he's been very good without Middleton and Brogdon. Even with Giannis on the floor, he's been good. So if Bledsoe once again comes in with very limited ownership, right now he got him at less than 1%. Yeah. I think I could make a very good argument. The same way I did when he was 4% the other day and gave us 50 fantasy points.
Yeah, he's certainly on the radar. It's going to depend on where value starts to open up for me.
Fair enough.
I don't have much else here. We're gonna have a lot to talk about in this next game, though.
Let's do it.
Houston Rockets.
Dallas, San Antonio. No, I'm kidding.
Motherfucker. Houston Rockets, Portland Trailblazers. Rockets 6.5-point favorites at home. Daniel House should be good to go. So we've got Houston 12-5 for Harden on FanDuel, 12K on DK. He's 20% owned on FanDuel, just 5% on DraftKings. Russ, 9,400 and 8,300, mid-20s in ownership. I like Russ more than I like Harden on DK. Probably like Harden a little bit more on FanDuel, but I like them both either way. Daniel House for 3,700 on DraftKings, though, is looking pretty tasty if he's back.
Yeah. Well, he and Nasir Little are getting significant ownership.
Yeah.
And that goes to show you right now, as you've pointed out earlier a couple times today, there's not that much value.
No, not at all.
Yeah. If Nasir Little and Daniel House are getting 27% each, dude, that does not spell good things. But, let's just say this. If nothing opens up, I guess you could make sense of it. But I would say if that holds, Nasir Little would be like the easiest fade of the night.
For sure. I won't have, he doesn't show up as something that I want right now with everything set up.
Right.
To have him playing 26 plus minutes.
The question would be, would you go with a balanced approach for your lineup and avoid going with the two dirt cheap guys with very low ceilings?
To me, I think so as of right now.
I think I might too. Yeah. I think that's at least a viable strategy that I'd be willing to consider, because I just can't imagine that not having them is going to kill you. But in many instances, even though they're very cheap, plugging both of those guys into the same lineup, you're going to need a monster game from Giannis or Harden or whoever, like monster game, just to be able to pay that off. That's how I see it right now.
Yeah.
But
right now, for me on the Houston side, on FanDuel, Harden and Westbrook is pretty much the only guys that I like a lot. And then on DK, House opens that up at 3,700 just because there's nobody around that price tag. On the Portland side, give me all of the Lillard, Whiteside, and McCollum that I can get.
Okay. Well, let me start with Houston because that's a lot. Russell Westbrook, it's super disappointing to see the rebound and assist totals just fall through the floor. It sucks. If we could see a little more of what we did last game against the Pacers, where I had some more opportunities as a facilitator and a rebounder, okay. But one thing to consider is he's still attempting 20 shots a game. So as ugly as his fantasy totals have looked this season, and they've looked pretty bad, dude. Like outside of the first couple of games, they've looked pretty rough. He's still attempting 20 shots per game over his last 4, almost 19 per game on the season. That's got to be good for something, Josh, because the usage should still be there. Now, he's not getting to the line as much. Of course, playing alongside James Harden, you'll see that happen. You're just not going to hold the ball as much. You're not going to get as many chances at the rim, but he is still shooting. I just think, we always talk about like ceilings and all that. Is it fair to say that Westbrook hitting that ceiling is so much more unlikely than it would have been at any other time in his career?
Sure.
But yeah, he's way cheaper now.
He didn't have Harden. I guess he kind of had Harden at a different point in his career, but I know what you mean.
He had Durant, he had Paul George, but it just seems like no one has influenced him as much as Harden has thus far.
I see stuff in chat where it says, where did it go? Westbrook should be like 7K right now. Westbrook is the second best per minute performer in this game behind James Harden, ahead of Damian Lillard, ahead of Hassan Whiteside, ahead of Clint Capella. Pump the brakes on like the demise of Russell Westbrook. He's just simply playing different than he did when he ran everything in Oklahoma City.
And I'm disappointed with what we've seen from him thus far, but I can also still understand that he is a 31% usage guy who still has a 35% assist rate and 12% rebounding rate. Those numbers have not looked great recently. The rebounding has been unspectacular. The assist numbers have come down, and his accuracy, his efficiency as a scorer has been dog shit. But he is still a 31% usage guy, 35% assists, and 12.5% rebounds. At that price, like I said, it's unlikely that he's going to hit that ceiling, but you're still going to get some very big games from Westbrook if he maintains those rates.
Absolutely. Why is everybody acting like he's 10-5 on DraftKings like it's last year? He's $8,300. Like he's priced down, and he's still playing really well on a permanent basis.
Yeah.
It's just really weird to me. 25% ownership on a slate like this at those price tags look exactly like where they should be.
Yeah, and the truth is, he's just going to have a lot more bad games than he did last season.
Yeah,
but
because he's not hunting for stats the same way that he was before.
Correct, but also relative to his price tag, he's not going to have as many bad games as he did last season.
Exactly,
if you know what I mean.
Right? Yeah, There's going to be days where he starts cooking early, and it just becomes a Russell Westbrook game.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more shooting. Well, there should be more shooting on this Houston team on a day-to-day basis. Maybe not so much now. Yeah, I'm in for some Russ, but Dame Lillard, 4% owned on FanDuel, 9 on DraftKings. I like him better than Russ. He's essentially unowned. Whiteside looks damn good for 7,900 and 6,700 on FanDuel and DraftKings. And I think CJ at 7,300 on both sites is fine too. I like it more on FanDuel than DraftKings, but those are the 3 guys I want. They're going to play like 38 minutes today. I have them both in for 38.
Yeah, Damian Lillard leads the league in minutes. So That's good. That price point on him is unusually low. I don't know how, if you ask me Lillard or Westbrook, it's clearly Lillard for me. And I don't see why not. $8,600 on DraftKings is wild, which of course is why we talk about Kyrie Irving. We'll talk about Kemba. Damian Lillard is the clear option there against the Houston Rockets, a game that we should certainly expect to see its fair share of scoring. The total in this game right now is a slate high 231.5. Lillard here, dude, leading the league in minutes with a 30% usage rate. How do you pass that up?
I don't think you can. And apparently people are, which is even weirder.
I'd get it if he was 96, but his price is way down.
Why is he not getting ownership today?
I wish I could tell you.
Like, if you knew that he was 9% right now, how much Damian Lillard would you want?
Honestly, like 75%.
I don't think that's crazy.
So Irving's 11% on DraftKings at $100 less. Kemba Walker is 1%. Just trying to see how many guys priced around him. Russell Westbrook, 25%. So it's Westbrook getting more than Lillard and Kyrie getting more than Lillard. That's got to come up throughout the day. 8,600 against Houston in that game. I don't know how you get away from that. I just don't.
Yeah. Like going back to that Russ discussion, I would much rather have Lillard for $300 more.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
Thoughts on Whiteside and McCollum?
McCollum's a guy that I just very seldom like to play. Now that he's at this price point, up 7,300, I will likely be underweight on McCollum. I don't see myself getting a ton of him here, because when McCollum has those bad games, they are brutal. The problem is right now we don't have him projected for any ownership, so that would change my mind. Like a popular McCollum at this price point is off my radar. I still don't see myself getting the average game for him. You're going to get around 30, 35 fantasy points. And then once in a while, you'll get a real big outing from him. Sure, this matchup's probably conducive to that, but I just prefer Lillard here. I don't think I want to pay for McCollum. And then Whiteside, no question in my mind that Whiteside should be on all of our radars. But the problem is I would have liked him a lot more if Clint Capella was out of this game.
For sure. Considering I don't think that Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be slowing him down then.
Yeah, or Tyson Chandler. No, I mean, Whiteside would have become a top play. I think it makes a big difference.
I still like him quite a bit at 7,900 and or 6,700, but a little bit less so. I don't really need any of the Portland value. And then we get Melo back tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, can't wait. Hey, look, man. All things considered, they need him.
Yeah, they really. I mean,
they just don't have people at that position.
Not many teams need Melo.
No, but like the bar is be better than Mario Hezonja. So,
right. Yeah, you're right.
Do you have any interest in Penny Hardaway's kid? And on that note, guys, as we hit this midway point, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, but hit that like button especially. That helps us out the most. We've got Laffy and Manny coming up immediately after this, 11 a.m. Monday morning, quarterbacking through the NFL from yesterday. I will have office hours at 1 p.m., so behind the paywall stream for that. Jake will have his hockey show at 4. Alex will be behind the paywall doing his game plan stream at 4 as well. Laffy will be back at 5. Adam will be joining him for the deeper dive, and then Chris Spags and I will be here for Live Before Lock, 6 until 7. Check it all out.
Black Madden says Portland's on the front end of a back-to-back. Doesn't matter for anyone like Whiteside. I think it's a valid question. It's tough to say. 27th and 28th of October, he played 26 and then 24 minutes, but that's when his minute totals were down. And then the 7th and 8th, they had a back-to-back. He played 27 and then 34. And then the last one, they've had a lot of back-to-backs recently. Are they on another back-to-back? Wow. Yeah. He played 21 and then 30. So he's played fewer minutes on that front end of the back-to-back, but it's hard for me to I'm very reluctant to make any decisions based on that because I don't know what Terry Stotts is going to do. And we haven't seen Whiteside's minutes have been a bit erratic and now they've been coming up. So those earlier back-to-backs, it's tough to say, Josh, because the first time he started playing big minutes, like 30 plus, was the second end of the back-to-back the day before. Then he played 34, 35, then 21, and then 30, and then 35. So I would say probably not a big deal, but I don't know. What do you think?
What's the alternative? I can't just immediately bet on Scal to get 24 minutes or I'm going to get him in every lineup I have. I'm going to bet on Whiteside being their center and playing as many minutes as Hassan Whiteside can possibly play for today.
Fair enough.
I don't really know. I really wouldn't know how to go a different direction.
And by the way, no, I hear you. Let me point something else out. Hassan Whiteside in that front end of the back-to-back last time where he played 21 minutes, he had 3 personal fouls in the first 6 minutes of the game. He played 6 minutes in the first half. And then he got a 4th personal foul 5 minutes into the second half. So the dude lost probably 12 minutes of playing time in that game, if not more.
Yeah, look, he's the only legitimate center on the team.
Yeah, I would say don't worry about it. A huge foul trouble, like massive foul trouble in that game. He had 3 fouls in the first 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah, like it can go poorly for him, but if he's not in foul trouble, he's playing 30 minutes. They just don't have a choice. Clint Capella will destroy Scal.
Yep.
Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs. You want an interesting tidbit right now? I know we got to keep it moving because we only have 23 minutes and we have 4 games to go, and we're terrible at this. The San Antonio Spurs are currently projected by 538 to finish dead last in the West.
What?
Yeah. Dead last.
Wow.
Dead last. Worse than the Golden State Warriors.
That seems wrong.
They've been bad. But anyway, Mavs and Spurs. Pretty much just 2 people for me on the Dallas side. Luka Doncic, 11-4 on FanDuel, looks pretty good. 9,800 on DraftKings looks real good, as does that's pretty clear based on the ownership. 33% owned Luka right now. He is the clear chalk, and I would say the first item you would want to put into a cash game on DraftKings. It's also $18K on Fantasy Draft. That's his best price across the industry, so I would be happy to grab him there. And I think Porzingis is pretty viable at 8,400 on FanDuel. I don't have a ton of interest on like the value guys from Dallas, so maybe a little bit of Dwight, a little bit of Maxey, but Luke is the clear star here.
It's puzzling that Luka Doncic is averaging 0.9 rebounds he has 0.9 assists per game shy of averaging a triple-double, and he's below $10,000 on DraftKings. Yet Towns is above the 10K mark. Doncic has been better than him. I can't actually, as a matter of fact, this brings it into focus a little bit more. If you actually look at some of the prices on these guys, you can make the argument that Lillard is underpriced, that Irving is underpriced, that Westbrook is underpriced, that Doncic is underpriced. So I guess just compared to everybody else, it makes sense, but it's still way cheaper than you would expect for a guy that has been as dominant as Doncic and offers that triple-double upside every single game.
He really, I mean, is he still averaging like essentially one?
Well, like I just said, he averaging 0.9 assists less than a triple-double per game.
And the fact that he's averaging almost 11 rebounds is...
Dude, he leads the team in every category. Outside of like block shots, but sure. Rebounds, scoring, assists, usage, potential rebounds, potential assists.
Play him. I love him. Do you like anything else from Dallas?
I mean, if you wanted to get to somebody like Porzingis, I don't have an issue with it. He's fine. His rebounding totals have been crazy the past couple of games, which is really encouraging. I just don't know if they're in the least bit sustainable because he's actually never been a great rebounder, man. But if you're getting numbers like that, count me in. I would be on board. So yeah, I think Porzingis would be your second best option here, but he's not a priority.
Yeah, I would agree. Not a priority. And for the Spurs, DeJounte Murray is at 22% ownership on DK at 5,200. That's really I don't want him at that ownership, but that's the only price that I have any interest in for anything from San Antonio. Otherwise, I'm not on anyone here.
I'll be honest with you. I think at this ownership, I'm willing to take some stabs. I guess you're right in a sense though, that if he was unowned, you'd love him here in this spot because he's proven that he has pretty significant upside. But now that gets a little bit dicey. And I think we could all agree that we're seeing that unsustainable pace come to an end, Josh.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like that pace was insane.
Oh God, I hate the Spurs, man. I say this every single show, and every single show it's the same.
I mean, I think it's possible. Or I think it's reasonable to assume that you just don't play them.
Yeah.
Who do you feel like you have to play here?
No
DeMar
one.
DeRozan?
No one. Seriously, no one.
Yeah.
Phoenix Suns
just coming out. By the way, someone I forget who it was in chat before that. It was the whole LaMarcus Aldridge is washed. Never play him. He's clearly not as good as he was. But anyone that can drop 50 fantasy points in a game, he's done it twice in his last 6, is not completely washed. He still puts up solid games. He's just going to have a lot more bad games too. And that said, I'm not high on Aldridge, but when he was 6,300, of course, you should have some interest in LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yep. Yeah, I'm never playing this guy. Well, I mean, for some people there are. Those are the people that I hope stay in my contest. Suns and Celtics. The Phoenix Suns are 2.5-point favorites at home against Boston. Would not have predicted that line earlier this season. On the Phoenix side, I think Kelly Oubre is pretty underpriced on FanDuel. The ownership is showing at 6,100. Aaron Baines, 5,100 on DK. That's the sort of value we have on this slate. And Dario Saric at 5K picking up some love on FanDuel. I'm not that big of a proponent of that one. I just don't really have a ton of interest in anything on FanDuel outside of probably Oubre. Maybe a little bit of Rubio because he's unowned, but I'm not here for DFS plays.
Dude, I don't have a lot from this game at all.
Highest ownership on Boston is 7% to Tatum across both sites. And I am fine with not having Boston. So the floor is yours to find what you want.
If I was getting 25 minutes from Cantor, I would love him today. But ever since Tice returned, he's got 15 and 19 minutes. So there you have it. That sucks. And then Daniel Tice now is clearly going to see his minutes impacted by Cantor being healthy. Robert Williams, of course, seeing not much run at all. So I basically can't get to anything there. And then with Aaron Baines, what's happening with the minutes here? How much of this was foul trouble? I guess I need to look into this. But this is a guy who was playing, 28, 28, 32, 29, then 18, 26, and 18. I'm assuming some of this had to have been foul trouble. It has to be. I can't imagine otherwise. And it's kind of important because on a day that doesn't have a lot of value, Baines actually could be viable against what I wouldn't consider to be a dominant front court defense. Aaron Baines, 2 fouls, then caught his 3rd foul. And that's on the 10th. So he probably lost about 6 minutes in the first half alone. Then he caught his 4th foul, and then he caught his 5th foul. So a lot of playing time lost for Baines. Yeah. Let me just pull up the 4th. If you want to talk while I pull this up. Actually, I have it right here.
I don't have anything to talk about. I don't want to play any of these people.
I hear you. See, I think Baines, if at that price tag, I think if you were projecting him for more playing time, and you can figure out whether or not the fouls had something to do with it, then I would have a lot of interest. But that's just me.
I think the interest in Aaron Baines will go away as value opens up on this slate.
Oh, it certainly will, but that's if value opens up. So,
yeah, right now I think that the 18% that he's owned is exactly where it should be.
18 minutes last game though, and he didn't have any significant foul trouble. So I don't know. It's tough to say.
I gave him 26. 26
seems reasonable. Yeah.
Boston, I don't know, a little bit of Kemba, a little bit of Jaylen Brown, but I'm not interested. I think Enes Kanter looks okay for 4K. Who knows how many minutes he plays?
Just sucks that you're getting 19 minutes from him.
Yeah. I gave him 22. I mean, I think that starts to ramp up at some point in time.
Well, then if you're giving him 22, I'd be okay with it.
Okay. But even still, I'm just now it's not that great of a fantasy game. Both defenses have been really good this year, so Utah and Minnesota, 10-point favorites for the Jazz at home against the Wolves. Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley both close to 20% ownership on FanDuel. Boyan at 13 on DK. I'm happy to get some Mike Conley. Happy to get some Donovan Mitchell. I think they're pretty comparable given their gaps in salary. On the Minnesota side, no Andrew Wiggins, so I'm in for Towns at 11-6 or 10-2 or 18-3 or whatever it is. I'm in for some Towns. And then probably start flipping coins on how to get hurt by either Jake Layman or Josh Okogie or Jarrett Culver.
You like Towns here? You do?
It's hard to not like him when Wiggins isn't there.
Yeah, this was true. It's certainly true. I mean, matchup clearly isn't everything. If you're getting the usage and the minutes, then of course we can certainly overlook that. I'm not going to argue that whatsoever. Against Utah, I'm just pulling up recent games against them. He's been, it's pretty pedestrian, but what are you going to do? It's kind of expected. He's had some good games against them. With Wiggins, with the Wiggins situation, yeah. First of all, he's doubtful, right? I think he said doubtful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You pretty much have to get to Towns. Normally, if Wiggins was active, because I said it a lot now, I'm buying into Wiggins. Like, I really do believe that he's changing as a player. Actually, you and I discussed this last time, and I said, hey, he's been fantastic. And you said, and then he goes and drops another 30.8 rebounds, 7 assists game. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Yeah. I'll believe it.
I'm with you, though.
February.
I'm with you on Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
Matchup or not, the minutes, the usage, they're going to be there. And that's what matters most. Simple enough.
What do you like from Utah?
I like Donovan Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell is a pretty solid option here. Now, I can imagine his ownership right now. He's getting
9 on DraftKings.
See, that's not that much, in my opinion.
No.
Look, here's how I see it. It's a massive pace up spot. Massive.
Plus 6 possessions I get for this game over their normal average.
Yep, it is. 100 possessions per 48 for the Jazz, 106.5 for the Timberwolves. That's the second fastest pace in the league. Believe it or not, the Bucks lead the league in pace this season. But that is really friendly. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves 17th in defensive rating, but I would expect that to only continue to get a little bit worse once they face some better teams. I think Donnie Mitchell's in a great pace up spot. Opportunities galore in this one. And you're also talking about a player that, look, it's not just that Donovan Mitchell is a decent player who gets a pace up spot. He's got a 31% usage rate this year, assisting at a career high 24% clip. He's even rebounding at a career high 9% rate. So you're getting pretty solid numbers across the board for Mitchell, whose rebounding is way up and continues to maintain that 30+% usage. I think at his price tag, 7,900, that's very fair. 8,600 on FanDuel, I don't have an issue with. And on Yahoo, 35. All of it to me seems reasonable, at least.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I kind of think he's being owned exactly where he should be. I like him most on probably fantasy draft, but it's the pace up spot is great for Utah. it's really hard to see guys from this team stand out because they're all sort of priced where they should be. Everybody's been around. They don't have like guys that wildly vary in price. So I think they're all just sort of priced where they are. And on a day where there's no value, I think they become interesting. When the value starts to come out, I think I lose some of my interest in the Jazz.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to argue it. I think, Gobert, that price, I don't know how much I get to him, but he's played really well.
Yeah.
And there's nothing about Karl Anthony Towns that concerns me. But for me, it's mostly Mitchell here. By the way, how'd that Mike Conley revenge game go? Oh, that's some silly shit.
He's been shooting a lot better lately, which has been helpful.
He's up to like 7%.
No, he was. I mean, those first like 6 games, he was shooting like 10%, but he was shooting like 40% from 3 after that.
No, I know. He's whatever. I'm not going to bother.
What's the issue?
No, just the whole revenge game narrative.
Oh,
so
yeah. I thought you were talking about like Conley shooting threes. I was like, I'm pretty sure you think that he's just going to get better and be good again, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's fine. I mean, the contract that they took on is the stupidest shit ever, but like, there's just simply no way I would want to take that on at that stage of his career.
For sure.
But I think he'll be fine. Yeah.
Do you like any of the wing slop for the Wolves? Layman, Koji, Culver, Graham.
What'd you call it? Wing slop?
Yeah. Isn't that a place where you go to get wings? Wing slop?
I mean, it is slop. You're not wrong. Koji, I don't even know if he's going to play, but outside of that, it is slop. The problem is though, that this slop is now seeing their price tags come up. I'd probably say Culver just because he's like the cheapest, but I don't have a ton of faith in $5,500 Robert Covington. No. And a Koji, I guess if he plays, 4,300, if value doesn't open up, would I rather get to a Koji than Nasir Little? Well, I don't know. The price is kind of pretty far separated. I don't really like any of these guys.
By the way, I'm all over Covington today after the DraftKings change in scoring. They added 1.5 per deflection.
Load it up. We joke about this all the time when people, oh, dude, Robert Covington leads the league in deflections. He is incredible. Yeah. Watch him try and guard someone with the ball in their hand. Seriously, no, he's an overrated defender in that he's very good. What, you don't believe me?
I'm a big fan.
Dude, Robert Covington off the ball is a great defender. Gets his hands in passing lanes, of course, deflections. He can't guard a like legit good scorer one-on-one.
Okay.
What?
That's fine. I mean, like that doesn't mean I still like to have him being a part of my defense.
Well, you just metaphorically jerked your meat at me, so I got to come with something.
Late night hammer. LA Clippers, Oklahoma City Thunder, 114.5 implied total for the Clips, 106 for the Thunder. Shrug on this one. Kawhi, questionable. Pat Bev, questionable. Paul George should be here. Nothing matters right now, right? Like,
say that again.
Nothing matters right now. If Kawhi is in, this looks dramatically different. I gave Paul George 30 minutes right now. He's at 2.2 FanDuel points per minute so far.
Oh my God.
Like, if Kawhi is in, I'm probably not super interested, but I'll have like 5 to 10%. It makes it really difficult to get to Lou Will and Trez. Beverly could be out, which opens up nothing. I don't know how to get to the Clippers today unless like Kawhi and Beverly end up out.
I know it's tough. By the way, where was it? Z-Rich said Dave is just looking at Rocco as a jaded Philly fan. Yes, I am, but I've also watched more Covington than anybody that's watching this show. And listen, that's not a brag. You should be glad that you haven't had to watch as much as I have. I'm just saying that he's whatever. Point is, jaded, yes. Accurate, yes. Okay. LA Clippers, I think you're right. Now that I was kind of dreading Paul George coming back because I was enjoying getting Kawhi Leonard at low ownership every day, right? And people like weren't playing him at 93, 9,400. So the question is, do we have to just wait until these salaries come down? Because we haven't been getting games with Leonard and Paul George in both active. So their prices haven't come down to the point where we need them to yet because they've been playing with each other sideline. I'm with you. I don't see how we can get to them.
Yeah. On the OKC side, 7,300 for Shea, 6,300 on DraftKings, 12,400 on Fantasy Draft. I assume that Adam and I will both have too much Shea as we normally do. After that, these are just like 5 to 10 percenters. Paul, Gallo, Adams. Nobody's picking up ownership outside of Shea. There's nobody picking up ownership in this. No one is in double digits in expected ownership in this game besides Shea. Seems normal to me. I don't know. I don't have.
How many minutes did you say you're giving Paul George?
I put him in for 30 just to see how it looked. I mean, he's coming back from shoulder injuries. He's just out of shape, so to speak. He's not in danger of injuring like legs and lower body work. At some point in time, he's just going to get minutes, and that's just going to happen.
Hard to give him 30 today, though, right?
I don't know. I mean, probably. It doesn't make much of a difference to me, the way that I have everything lined up. But
right. Gotcha.
Like, I wanted to see how he looked if he was going to get a full allotment right now with everybody in. I'm
having a tough time with this game, though, honestly.
What would you say? What would you expect for Paul George's minutes?
26.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, but I mean, again, I don't know. None of us know.
Right, like he's not coming back from a lower body injury. So the only thing, if he looks over at Doc and's like, "Yo, man, I've got wind. Like, I'm good." Doc's gonna be like, "Yeah, have at it."
Yeah. This team is just tough now. It's getting crowded. It is amazing though that the closing lineup is going to be what? You'll have George out there. You'll have Leonard out there. You'll have Harrell out there. You'll have Lou Williams out there, and I guess Pat Beverly too as your nails defender.
Yes, yeah. You can make a real case that Montrezl Harrell is not part of a closing lineup for the Clippers. And I like Montrezl Harrell a lot, but he is like the perfect guy to have in the regular season.
Yeah. Nevertheless, their cleosing lineup's going to be filthy.
Yes. For sure.
I'm not getting to a lot from this game because I don't. First of all, have Leonard and George played a game together yet?
No, right?
They haven't.
No,
right?
Because Kawhi sat that game that like would have been a Kawhi game, but he sat a non back-to-back.
Right, they haven't. 14th and the 16th are the only games that George played and Leonard didn't play. So I don't know I have no idea how to gauge this, and it's not like George is coming in at a discount. So I can't get to any of these guys. Lou Williams is expensive too.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
You can't get to Lou Will unless you know that Bev and Kawhi are out.
Correct. Well, yeah, if that's the case, then totally different story. But assuming all of them play, I can't get there. On the other side, is SGA okay? I'm sure he's fine. Gilgeous Alexander, but I'm not enamored with that price point whatsoever. The OKC side, for the most part, I don't have a lot of interest in whatsoever.
No, we're going to need some value. This is a really difficult slate as of right now. There's just not a lot opened up, and there's not a lot standing out. We've seen a bunch of guys with ownership that we're not terribly excited about. Your Nasir Little at 26, Daniel House 26, Miles Bridges 23, Lauri Markkanen is over 20 after that discussion. So pay close attention, guys. We got a ton of content coming up. Lofty will be back in a couple minutes, starting it off with Manny Laura talking some NFL. We've got the deeper dive and live before lock 5 and 6 tonight. Lofty, anything else you want to hit on?
That'll do it, man. Good show as always. And let's hope some value opens up, because right now I honestly feel forced to go balanced, where I'd probably play like one of Towns or Doncic. Don't even know if I could get to Giannis or Harden with the value that we have right now and comfortably put a decent lineup in, but it's still early.
Going to be tricky. Thank you guys for joining us. Once again, shout out to Yahoo Sports for being the presenting sponsor of this show. Check out Emacs Cash Game article for information on how to sign up Best of luck tonight. We will talk to you later.